this. I was like, yeah, this can just be mine, and it can just be, for me to enjoy, and to you never has to leave my little computer. And then I had to reread it, and it took me, so I finished 8th of November. Then we had Christmas. I was like, oh, I can't do it over Christmas, I'm busy. And then it was like January, and I was like, oh, I still want to get it out on the 3rd of March. And I was like, well. And then it was February, I went away, and Katie, my book coach, was like, Melissa, you're going to read it. And my energy healer guy was like, Melissa, you're going to read it. I'm just going to put this on speaker view so everybody can on there, because there's so many of you, we've just gone really tiny. So here we go. So yeah, my energy coach was like, Melissa, why aren't you reading it? And I had this like block in my throat, and it was really odd. But February came, and one of my friends had read the book, and she was giving me some feedback, and I went in while I was on holiday, and I had a balcony overlooking the sea, and I was like, it's perfect. And Mercury had just gone retrograde, and I'm like, it's perfect. So I read it, and I was like, oh, I'm actually quite enjoying it. It was really weird. It was the most bizarre thing. And reading it gave me even more of this healing journey that I didn't know that was going to be a part of it. But obviously the 3rd of March came and went, and it didn't happen. And then I went through this weird block thing again. And as the kind of days and weeks went on, suddenly I was like, right, it needs to be the 8th of August. It has to be the Lion's Gate. That was when Soul Space was launched. Soul Space has changed my life. Soul Space has helped so many people. I can see some of you lovelies on here as well. So thank you for being here. And then it was all go until then. And then here we are with this, with the book. Oh, Shona just got the notification that it ships. Amazing. So yeah, that's where I am, and that was kind of how the book was birthed, and it's kind of taken on a life of its own. And I think that once you all have it in your hands, what's the weirdest thing for me, and I think another reason why it took me so long to actually get it out there, is that it's really weird to think that like all of you that are here are actually going to like really know me. And I'm, believe it or not, I know a lot of you just know me from Facebook land. I'm really private. I'm like a really private person. I don't really talk much about me and my, the things that go on. I kind of spent my whole life feeling like I was quite misunderstood. No one really got me, and I thought differently to other people. And so like I kind of learned to keep things to myself. And so it's really strange that, yeah, it's like you're all going to know me, and you're going to have like my voice in your head. So please be kind. Right, I'm just going to check the Facebook comments. I can see Jan, I can see Steph, I can see Hannah. Okay, so before I get carried away, I know that there's loads of you on Zoom, and I can see a few of you watching it on Facebook as well. If you share this from Facebook to your group, to somebody, tag someone in there, I'm going to put everyone that shares into a prize draw. And I've got a few prizes that I want to give out. There'll be more than one prize. One is going to be my Align 3-month, it was pre-recorded, that I've worked with Laura, which is all about aligning to your higher self. That's worth £300. That is going to be in the prize draw. So all you have to do is share it, and then put in the live stream that you shared it. When you share it, use the hashtag Mystic in Training, and if you can tag me, even better. That's the only way I'm going to keep track of it all. I can't do it while we're live, otherwise I'll be like I'll be adminning, and when I admin I hold my breath, and that's not going to be fun for anyone. So if you share it and then pop in the Facebook thing, even if you do it afterwards, even if you're watching on the replay, if you share it, just pop in there, shared, put in the hashtag Mystic in Training, because then I can find it. Then you'll be put in the prize draw. So one of the prizes is going to be my Align 3-month workshop. The other prize is going to be my album, my meditation album, which I also recorded with Laura. Why I'm bringing Laura into this is because she recorded all the music that you get with your bonuses and your free gifts that come with the book. And I've got a few more up my sleeve, but we'll talk about them a bit later. Thank you. I'm so excited. I've never done a book launch before, so I don't really know what I'm meant to be saying or doing. But I would love to, for those of you that are here on the live, either on Facebook or here with me, take any questions that you have. So if you've got any questions, you pop them in here in the chat, which I can see now. I can move on. I can actually see comments on Facebook, which is amazing because that never ever happens, does it? So if you've got them on there, if you're watching on the replay, do put your questions in and I will do my best to come back and answer them. So I think the author life, isn't the author life that you're just meant to sit by the beach all day and just have your laptop and just writing, isn't that? That's what they sold me. I'm not sure that's true. Mike's asked, how many hours a day did you spend writing? So because of the nature of the book, and it's kind of, I don't want to say it's channeled because it's definitely my voice and it's definitely my experience. But it certainly, when I was writing it, I was bringing through the experiences of my life, and I was looking back at them through a higher perspective. And I actually didn't know this all at the beginning, but it was like I was bringing through my higher self or a higher energy or a higher perspective, or maybe even my soul energy, that was reminding me of things. You know how when we, like, a memory doesn't, you don't remember you've got a memory until it kind of surfaces. Who knew? It was like everything was being presented to me from this higher awareness. And because of that, I needed to be in the right energy in order to write the book. And so when I wrote the book, I think is as important as how long it took me to write it. So those of you who've worked with me or in Soul Space or have had, come to my workshops and things, I do a lot of my work in the evenings, sort of 7, 8 o'clock. I'll run, my meditation groups or the Soul Space calls, or do my one-to-one work. And I find when I'm doing my one-to-one work, that's when I'm most connected, or when I'm doing my group work, that's when I'm most connected. It's like I have this direct dial to source. I mean, we all do all the time, but that's when, my energy's lifted and all of that. So I'll open up to that. And when I finished my call, I would just start writing. It was almost like as I was getting to the end of the call, I'd feel this like something, this nudge. And so every time pretty much that I finished either a Soul Space call or a one-to-one, or some of the groups I was running at the time, I would just open my laptop and start writing. Sometimes it was for half an hour. Sometimes it was just like one chapter. Sometimes it was like 3 hours. And there was my poor husband. I was like, yeah, I'll be finished by 10. I come in at midnight. It's like, oh, everyone's in bed. And that's what I did. So there wasn't, I know the advice, and Katie gave me the advice to write every day and to set some time aside and do all of that, but I kind of didn't, and that's not how I work. I'm quite free flowing. And so oh, hi, Arthur. And so I just started writing and just didn't push it. And you know what? I enjoyed every single word I wrote. There wasn't one moment that I was like, oh my God, I've got to write this and I've got to do this, because I didn't have a deadline. 3rd of March was my thing. Didn't happen. I didn't really have a deadline. This was October, November time. And I just let it write. And I remember speaking to Katie and she was like, how are you going to end it? I was like, I don't know. Just going to end it and we'll see what happens. And I was literally writing. And then one day I was like, oh my God, it's finished. And that's what happened. And then it was finished, but it wasn't finished because there's been many an edit. Just FYI, I came home from yoga this morning and my room's been decorated. I have got confetti everywhere. I bought the flowers yesterday. because you've got to love a sunflower and Lionsgate. I'm not quite sure what all this stuff is, but usually like my space is quite clear when I'm channeling and doing things. And I was like, wow, we are so proud of you all over the windows. I've got a gold balloon over here, and I've got these weird little papery things all around me. So that was courtesy of my kiddos and my husband. So I thought you'd like to see that. So we are actually having a party, and I've got stuff hanging from the ceiling that, you know, see, yeah, that's all over. So the energy, isn't that cute? So the energy in here is quite sort of lively, and yeah, it's quite nice. And I love that they've gone with gold for the Lionsgate. They wouldn't have known, but they did. So I have gold flutters all around. Tracy, good morning. It must be very early for you where you are. Tracy said, happy Lionsgate, excited to share in your excitement. Well, thank you very much. So if you're just joining, remember, if you share this, hashtag Mystic in Training, tag me and then put in here that you've shared it, whether you're live or on the replay, you will go in a prize draw. I'm going to put you in a little spinny wheel, and I'll do that off camera, so it gives you a chance to do it, to win my Align workshop. Okay, so Nadine, what was the best time for you to write? Oh, there we go. And did you have a preferred space? Yeah, evening. Definitely evening. There were times that I did write in the day after I'd worked. You know, I noticed it was funny as well, because I wrote the book during when Mercury was going its normal direction, as regular, and I didn't realize. I realized that I started the book just as Mercury stationed. Literally, it happened. I was working with a lady, Dawn, who was giving me an astrological, she like basically did my astrological year. I had this kind of motivation to start writing, and then I had a look at it, and it was like that date, it was like, this would be a good, like, I didn't say this would be a good time to start writing, but it was something, I can't remember what she said. And I thought, yeah, this will be the perfect time. So I kind of waited and held off. So Mercury stationed, and then I started writing, and it finished 2 days, I think, before Mercury then went stationed again, which I didn't plan that. It just was how it was. So yeah, but I just like the evenings, and I did it all here, occasionally outdoors, but it was coming into winter here. But yeah, this was my creative space. And I just get into my energy, and I enjoyed every single minute of it. Was so like soul affirming. I don't know. When I came into my room yesterday, my obsidian crystal ball flew onto the floor. I shut the door, and it just fell off the shelf and flew onto the floor. So it's sitting here in my mini cauldron. I had cheese in it once. And I use that for my tea strainer, just so you know what's going on behind here, because I have you know that I don't leave anywhere without my mug of tea. So it's actually going very well with these black and gold decorations that my husband has done. Okay, Shona's asked, how did I choose my cover? So that was a thing. That was a real thing. I actually started with designing my own cover. Good old Canva. Who loves to get lost in the Canva rabbit hole? I spent hours. I probably spent like 6 weeks clicking and playing with fonts. Then I was like, yeah, I think I need to get somebody to do this. I spoke to a few people. I chose Rebecca. I just had this real feeling, Rebecca Watson. I just had this really real feeling about her and working with her. And I commissioned her, and we had a few backs and forths. The Mystic in Training bit, that font, I love that font, was like a go from the beginning. She put that together on the first draft, but the in training, oh my god, did we go to and fro with the in training. It was a gold banner, it was a gold sticker, it was just writing all in the same thing, and I was like, no, can't, no, and I couldn't do it. We had so many backs and forths, and I was like, the in training needs to be the thing. And then I was playing around. I couldn't express what I wanted because I didn't really know. I had a thing in my mind. I was like, I want it to be kind of cheeky. I want it to be a bit of like a stamp. Like, it's almost, when I got the title, it was when I asked, what do I call this? And it said Memoirs of a Mystic. I was like, that felt too big for me. I'm like, I don't class myself as a mystic. That feels like I've kind of promoted myself into some role that I'm not ready for. And the way that the in training bit kind of got delivered to me was, it was like, I don't know, it was like encouragement, but it was almost like a stamp from, I don't know, my angels or something. So I wanted to give that energy to it. So I got pulled up Canva and I just started looking at different like swashes, I think they're called. And then I found a tear and I was like, that is good. And I was speaking to my friend Jessica, who was one of the pre-readers of the book. She's like, I love the tear. So I'm like, right, we're going to go with the tear. So I sent that to Rebecca. I sent her about 10 different tears and I was like, right, let's do something with this. And then she did it. And then I was like, it needs something at the end. So when I designed mine, I had this little hand that was holding a feather that came out of a cloud. So it looked like it was being written by some hand of God or something. And it was missing that. And and she just put this perfect little feather. It's like the cutest feather on the side. It's just, it's like so perfect. So yeah, she added that and I was like, yeah, this is it. We're done. And then some of you will notice this. I wasn't sure whether to tell anyone about this, but you'll ask, because a few people who have seen it have asked. When you get the book, you will see there's some writing underneath the cover. So there's the blue or the teal, and there's some writing underneath it. Who wants to know what the writing is? Because you won't be able to read it, right? So many of you, and if you don't know already, you'll know when you've written the book, when you've read the book, know the story about my grandma. So my grandma was a hypnotherapist. She you know, she was really a mentor for me, and she was always very interested in my progression. She didn't always understand all of the stuff, the Reiki stuff and the energy stuff and all of this, but you know, she was a real supporter of what I did, and always just loved to listen to the rabbit holes that I like to go down. And she was a hypnotherapist and a musician. And side note, my brother's a musician. I'm a therapist. How cool is that? Anyway, before she died, she started to write notes for her book, and she was gonna write a book called The High Notes, and it was a memoir, story of her life. And she, some years ago, said to me, Melissa, you need to write a book. And I was like, who would ever read a book by me? But I was like, yeah, no, all right, yeah. Anyway, so she had these notes by her bed, and they were just kind of part of the format of, you know, some of the high notes of her life. And after she died, we found them just on a little notepad. And as I was designing the cover, they came, like, we remembered them. I don't even know how we remembered them. And actually, I spoke to Michelle. Some of you know Michelle Taylor Ward. She's an artist, she does soul art. She's amazing. She's done my soul portrait here. And I was speaking to her, and I think it was her that said you could incorporate her writing in your book. And I was like, that is genius. And so I took a photo of these notes, and we put them on the back of the book. So you can't really see what she says, but I thought that would just be a really nice, like, wink to her that her words have been published, and that they made print. So that's there. And then I was writing the dedication, and something came in about her words turning into mine. So then, poor Rebecca, I was like, I think we should have my words underneath it. So then I wrote a few little encoded words in there to have a really nice energy, and they sit underneath it. So if you look really closely at the bottom half of the book, you'll see that. yeah, so that was that. It had to be teal. The book had to be teal. Come on, had to be teal. And even that, it was like, no, it's too green, it's too whatever. I'm also very aware that Amazon print it on a print run, so you'll all get different colors, which is, I think, quite cool as well. So yeah, so that was the birth of the book. And then there's the back cover, which is a whole nother story. Oh my gosh. And then I had the quote from Robert Holden, and I'm like, this needs to be on the front of the book. So then we had to redesign it all again. So bless Rebecca and her infinite patience about that. So let me see. Creativity is really like that. You have to be in the zone and obey the urge, Debbie. Yes, then hours can pass without noticing. It's exactly what happened. It'd be like midnight and I'm like, I'm still writing. I can't stop writing. Like, thank God, back in 1990 something, when I took, what was it called? The Mavis something typing school. Do you remember that? Does anyone have that? Where you type? Just me. I did that and I could touch type really quick. So I'm so thankful for that. It just seemed like fun at the time. Oh my God, Debbie, I just read your comment that says your family must be really proud. And I thought of my grandma. And then one of my streamers that had been placed above the door just fell down. Hi, Nana. Okay. So thank you for that. Can't wait to read it, coming August 11th. Amazing. Reba, thank you for sharing. Did I self-publish? I did self-publish. I thought about, and I discussed with Katie about sending it out to the publishers, but I was like, I need this book to be mine at least for a bit. You know, when the publishers take it, they take it, and it's theirs, and they can do what they want with it. They can change it, they can do all the stuff. And I'm like, I'm hanging on to it. Like, already I feel vulnerable enough that this is going out into the world and people are going to read it and know all my secrets. Like, I just need it to be mine for a bit. But that's not to say that I won't. I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen. But I did, and it was really easy actually to do that bit. It was pretty straightforward to do all of that. That's cool. What was the most difficult thing you included in the book? Was this anticipated or a surprise? Oh, Mac, that's deep. What was the most difficult thing? So when I was writing the book, you know how the universe works, right? That it mirrors everything that's going on. So when I was writing the book, everything that I was writing about just seemed to happen. Like, literally, when I was talking about where I used to work, I bumped into someone who I haven't seen for 15 years that I used to work with in the park. It was just weird how things would come up as I'm writing about them. While I was writing about my relationship with my old mentor, which was a massive part of my journey, me and my mentor kind of split up. And it was the weirdest thing. Like, there was, you know, we won't go into all that now, but there was all this energy going on, and it was a really hard time for me personally. You know, we just stopped walking the same path, and we both went off in our different directions. And it was just when I was writing about the moment I met her and how much of an influence she was for me, and I had all these feelings going on about what was happening right now in the moment, and you know, that I was hurt and all of these things that were going on, yet this part of my life and the amount that she'd taught me and the trust that she'd put in me and all of this stuff was still really relevant. And I was just like, what do you do? Like, what? Like, you know, and actually I wrote it and put myself back in the moment. And, you know, I look back now, and I think that was one of the reasons I didn't want to reread it, because I was still quite raw of everything that was going on. But when I went back and reread it, I was like, okay, I think had I have written that chapter or those chapters a few years before, it would have been very different. It would have been very much about her and not about me and my journey with her. And so actually, I think it helped me realize it was a massive part of my healing journey as well, of processing everything that was happening. And it was actually a really good way of me processing everything that had happened. And yeah, it wasn't easy, but it happened, and I'm really pleased with how the chapters turned out. And I don't know, had I not have written it, I don't know, maybe I'd have had a bitterness there, which I don't have now, because it got me to reflect about how integral our relationship was in the journey, and not so much about how integral she was to the journey. It was about the relationship more. So that was really interesting. And then when it came to the bit I was most scared of writing was when pandemic hit. And the book kind of ends about that point. It was coming to a natural end, but I do talk a bit about it, because that was when I was going into a bit of a dark night of the soul. I think many of us were. I think there was a collective dark night of the soul, and there was a lot going on, and I was a bit like, I don't know how to write this, and I knew it was coming up, and I'm like, I don't know how to write it. And Katie, my editor, was like, just write it, and then we can go in and see. And it came out, and actually it was another part of this processing of my healing journey. So yeah, that was a great question, Mac. Thank you very much. It was 6:30. Well, thank you, Leslie. It's wonderful that you were energized and loved the writing. Yes, it was. Karen, thank you. Love the cover. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It had to be teal. That is my favorite color too. Oh, the RSA word pricing. I've got that. What was the biggest challenge of self-publishing? You have to make a lot of decisions. Oh my God, like there's so many decisions. What font do you use? How, like, this is all stuff like, I was just writing the thing, right? And it's like, what font do you use? How big's the spacing? So the first book I ordered was 470 pages. And I'm like, oh my God, this is a massive book, because I'd read somewhere that you have to 1.5 or double space, and the font was 12 point, and all this stuff. Like, what font do you use? How do you do the chapters? Where are the page numbers? Like, I don't know. And the cover, thankfully I had Rebecca for that. So that was actually it wasn't something I'd anticipated. I thought it was just, oh, okay. And then editing it, grammatically, and making sure that I put the right effect or affect. And I'm like really pedantic when it comes to things like that. Like if I'm reading someone else's book and there's a spelling mistake or a grammatical error, it's like it shines out at me. I'm like, oh. Whereas for your own book, you're kind of reading it, and it's in your own language. So I think you miss it. And especially if you're reading it on a screen. So I got the book printed and I started reading it from there. And I was making so many changes. I then had to go back to my laptop. I then pulled it all back, made the spacing smaller, made the font slightly smaller. It's still quite big. It's 11 point, because I just think it just reads easier. It's got quite nice spacing through it. But it dropped it 150 pages or more, which was a big difference because it was a big book. I made it cheaper as well, and better to ship, and better if you want to take on your holidays and all that stuff. So all those things, like, who knew they'd be so hard? And I think if you've got a publisher, they take all of that and they do it all for you. They format it, they grammarly it, they do all the stuff. And also I have a MacBook, and it's my first Apple product. And I don't know what I'm doing with it. I would just like pick it up, and I was like, oh, I couldn't change the format, couldn't change the page size. I didn't know what I was doing. Every time I was sending it to people, they're like, I can't read it. So it was all just silly admin-y things, but the actual book itself was easy. Did I use any crystals to help me? I've always got crystals. I have crystals everywhere. Well, I had a crystal grid, and I've got a new crystal grid that I think most of you have seen, which is still there. And when you buy the book, you have what's it called? A wallpaper. I've given you a free wallpaper, right? And in that wallpaper, it's infused with that crystal grid. So the energy, if you look on this group, on the launch partners group, you'll see all the energy that I put in it. That is imbued in your wallpaper. So you know how the phone has funky energy. Hopefully that will help you with that. So yeah, I did that. I also had some crystals kind of protecting the book, because you know there was a lot going on at the time, and there was some funky energies around with certain things. So I did a kind of protection thing around it. My selenite dagger was the here, and I literally, there were days when I literally had this chunk just sitting on my lap. It kept me clear, it kept me kind of clean, it kept me grounded, all of that stuff. That is a chunky selenite. I found it in a car boot sale once, or it was like it wasn't car boot, it was like one of those pop-up sale things. It was cost me £5. I know. And I bought a crystal ball, selenite ball, at the same time. So it's one of my first crystals. That was like one of the first ever crystals I bought, and it got wet, so it's a bit blown up. So I'm taking questions if anyone has any. Love the little arrow in the feather. The feather was so perfect. And you know what happens when you become an author? Only if you're me. I'm getting a doll made, a Mystic in Training doll, from Maria Rippengale, and she has, I just saw the feathers that she's putting in there, and they are basically the feathers from my book. So my doll, she's going to sit, if she fits, she's going to sit on my thing behind me. Oh, I also had, so my angels here, they were here, they were giving me a well, they weren't here because I didn't have this shelf then, but they were here helping me with the book, this angelic presence. Oh, hello, Toby. Selenite is great. Yeah, so I'm taking questions. If anyone wants to know anything else, then please do. I could also, if you wanted, maybe give me thumbs up if you want it. I could read another chapter. You could like choose the chapter. Why don't we do that? Oh, there's Michelle. Hey Michelle, we were just talking about you. She can't wait to read it. Okay, hold on, let me get the book up. So if I do view and I do chapters, how do I do that then? Oh, here we go. Table of contents. Why isn't it showing me the table of contents? Oh, okay, well, this is fun. Let's close it off. Technology is amazing. Hello, me. Hold on. Oh, here we go. What if I screen share it? Is that the best thing to do? And then you guys can pick a chapter. You can tell I've done this before, can't you? Right, here we go. Share screen. Here we go. Can we see that? Can we see that? Okay, so I want you to put in the comments what ones stand out for you, and I'll pick one. I'm gonna slowly. My proud of me banner's just fallen down. FYI, everyone. So some of the chapters are more story, and some of the chapters are more, I don't want to say educational because that sounds really boring, doesn't it? Some of them are more like theory. So, din, din, din. This one's pretty short, I think. Okay. Have you all seen? You seen enough? You're welcome if you're watching on the Facebook as well to pop pop them in and I'll pick one. You think that I would know what all of the chapters are, but I can't remember. So it'll be as much of a surprise for you as it will be for me. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing. There you go. You can also tell me if there's any chapters you're particularly excited about. Okay, ready? We can turn it off. Okay. Here we go. Oh God, I'm not reading the shaman, Debbie, you're naughty. I'll save that one for when you buy it. The placebo, the circle, the way of the earth keeper, the energy of love, living with the magic, the ego, the embrace, be clear for what you ask for, embrace, living with the magic, akashic, and said the shaman as well. Okay. So which one has come up more than once? Living with the magic. Okay, that's come up 3 times. I can't remember what it's about. Let's find out. Where is it? Okay. Sit back. Is it a long one? Hold on. Oh gosh, what's oh my days. It's just gone tiny. There we go. Living with the magic. Is it a long one? Oh, this is my Top Gear one. This is my Top Gear chapter. This is a good one. It's quite long. Maybe we won't do all of it. Okay, we ready? Sit back, relax, enjoy. Okay, living with the magic. I had work, I had time, and I had a newfound knowledge of this seemingly magical ingredient that I can create what I wanted and it would magically show up for me. Who knew what a journey ahead it would be to get me to where I wanted to go? If you'd asked me then what my ideal job was, I would have answered being a presenter on Top Gear. This is a true story. For those of you not in the know, Top Gear is a car magazine TV show aired on the BBC by 3 men, one of whom I had an inappropriate old man crush on. Please don't judge me. Why was this my ideal job? Traveling, driving nice cars, well paid, being known for something that I love to do, showing off my car knowledge, and most importantly, having an absolute blast on set. At least that was how I perceived it. Plus the lead, Jeremy Clarkson, was one of the highest paid presenters on the BBC at the time, so who was I to say no to that? And you know what? I kind of manifested it. I actually appeared on Top Gear twice. Firstly, guessing the time that the featured car, a TVR Sagaris, went round the track to within half a second of my guess, to which Jeremy asked me if I was psychic, to which I replied, I am the Stig. If you get that joke, you know that. That was quite funny of me. Maybe it was that Jeremy was psychic, or perhaps he himself put a thought in motion as years later I was working in the realm of psychics myself. I thought appearing on Top Gear was my first step towards manifesting my dream. It turns out that this really was true. It just looked a whole heap different to how I thought it would. But I digress. New job and new knowledge, the whole world at my feet. I was progressing up through the company. I was talking at prestigious places in front of small crowds. I was learning and growing, and my Reiki practice was developing nicely. The natural next step for me was to move on to my Reiki 2. This was the second level of Reiki, which actually qualifies you to be a practitioner. By then, I was pretty obsessed with Reiki. I would Reiki almost everything, from my food to the fuel in my car, really anything I could get my hands on. I could feel it flow and I knew it worked. So back to my Reiki teacher for the second level. It was then I discovered another miracle. Apparently, one can send Reiki to any space, to any time, to anyone, just with the power of intention, accompanied by this beautiful and rather intricate Japanese symbol. I was presented with these calligraphy-style Japanese kanjis that each had a purpose or intention. By drawing them and saying their names, I invoked the energy of power, of balance, and of no space and of no time. I remember the first time I used them, meditated with them and drew them. I could feel a distinction between them. The power of symbols made sense to me. Having studied marketing at university, I knew too well the power a little squiggle could invoke in someone. Just think about those 2 big golden arches and what they invoke in you. Didn't it make sense that if all the other Reiki practitioners in the world are using this symbol and saying this name for a specific purpose, that these symbols would hold an energy that can bring more healing or a focused intention to something? Yet one of them didn't really make much sense to me, the distance symbol. It's not that I didn't believe my teacher. It's just that my brain didn't understand how this could possibly work. Although it did seem to kind of fit in with what I was reading and some of those law of attraction texts. Maybe it was another of these placebo type things that someone would say, Reiki's on its way. And so the recipient would naturally relax. But across time, across space, across dimensions, I wasn't so sure. I think I'm going to stop that one there, because then what that goes into is a story of how I then sent Reiki to myself when I was going through a really hard time at work, and the magic that it appeared. It's making my heart beat fast hearing it. I love that. Thank you. Should we go a bit with the embrace? Did you like that? Did you like that little chapter? So that actually does really give you a feel of how the book's formatted. So it's like these theories, and then they're interwoven in my life and all of the questions. Like, I'm brutally honest when I'm like, I do not understand how this is going to work, and that's going to work, and why would it, and all of this stuff. So that's all in there. My plan, FYI, is when I have enough royalties from this book, I am going to record it myself. That's my plan. Because I can't do that with my little microphone here, because it needs to be pro, doesn't it? Let's go with the embrace. What was that one about? That's near the end, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, that's like the final chapter. Do I give it away? Who wants the embrace? Give me some hearts if you want it, or I'll go. It's like kind of near the end. It's not really a book that gives away the ending. It's not like a whodunit or anything like that. Okay, we got some hearts. The embrace. Embracing who you are is the best way forward. But how hard is it when you don't truly know who or what that is? The potentials, the pitfalls, the sensitives, the likes, the dislikes, the aversions, the draws. I had enough of numbing it out, of pretending. There was no point to do that. I am here and I was put on this earth to be me at my fullest. What did I know about myself at this time? That I was stronger than I thought, that I had potential to help others transform, that people felt comfortable with me, and that I was able to make them feel safe. That now I felt safe in myself. I knew that I had a potential, that we all did. I knew that the things that I wanted to turn away from were the things that held the most healing for me. And I knew that if I had the courage to turn towards them, that this was where the magic is. I learned that I tried to avoid it as often as possible. But when I finally allowed myself to, I learned that I was strong enough to do that too. I knew that I wasn't meant to be following a path that was already laid out for me. And I knew that carving a path from scratch is never easy. I knew that what I do is always find the path of least resistance, that I was like water in that way. I knew that often I was the very resistance that challenged me so very much. I knew I liked to be different, and I also knew that I liked to be liked, but those things didn't need to be mutually exclusive. I knew that I didn't have to make myself different, I just was. In fact, we all are, and that's okay. I learned that I had this perfectionist streak in me that wanted everything to be just so. But then I let things come through me that I could never possibly plan. I also knew that that was often scary. I knew that I had done a ton of healing on myself, and that quite possibly there was a whole ton more. I knew that as I showed up for myself, I knew that as I showed up for others, I also showed up for myself. And as I showed up for myself, I also showed up for others. I knew that I didn't gravitate towards many of the things that others did, that the latest movie, show, gossip, or celebrity didn't really interest me much. I knew that when I did watch a movie or a series, I would feel the characters as myself, and that was overwhelming sometimes. I learned that music can make my body go on high alert, but other music could soothe me instantly. I learned that I was best off focusing on things that my brain could consider and explore, that were life affirming and deep, like quantum physics or the inner workings of a philosophy, because if it doesn't, well, then it would go on doing that for all the woes in the world. I knew that I wasn't the many identities that I put upon myself and that were put on me. And I knew that I wanted nothing more than to be me, free. And so I claimed it all. As I did, it claimed me less. My faults, my masks, my shadows, my gold, my smile, my potential, it was all valid and all part of me. But me, I was so much more. Embracing myself, allowing myself to be human, fallible, raw, vulnerable, strong, empathic, intelligent, intuitive, sensitive, even angry, overwhelmed. Whatever showed, I learned to love that too. I allowed myself to be seen. No more hiding away. I wrote and shared with whoever would listen, that which I really felt and saw and thought. I came fully out of the spiritual closet. I allowed myself to lead myself first, and others came. So together we could all lead this new way of being. This was my journey. And finally, I was ready to embrace it as my own. There's more, but it's getting late. I hope you've enjoyed that. I'm going to do one more plug. If you share this video, I'm putting you in a prize draw. If you think there's anyone who might have resonated with those words, share this and invite them to buy the book. My plan is this self-publishing thing as well. You've got to do loads of research. My plan is to get on the bestsellers list. That's it. I'm like, if I can do that, then I don't know. I just feel like, well, I feel like I've done it anyway, to be honest. I feel like the book's done for me everything I can. But to get on the bestsellers list, you know, there's a bit of fun to be had. This is why I'm pushing it all to be bought within the first 48 hours, because that just allows the algorithm to move up. So if you are thinking of buying it, or you think you have a friend that might enjoy that, or you want a copy, then the best thing you could do to support me would be to buy it within the first 48 hours. If you are watching this after 48 hours, it still counts. I think the thing lasts for a week. So, but I don't know how many books have sold because they don't tell you until they're printed and shipped. So I'll probably find out Wednesday, Thursday, how many, but I'm feeling like it's about 100, which is like blown my mind. I thought it'd be about 40. So yeah, so if you share it, then you're just helping support that as well. Thank you, Michelle. Right, I want to see all your faces again. So you're going back into Facebook. Oh, you're not all there. Okay, well, it's so nice to meet you all. Are there any other questions? Anything else you'd like to bring? Anything you'd like to say? You are welcome to take yourself off mute or pop something in the chat, or anything like that. My big mug of tea. I am drinking Melissa's Mystic Tea, which I had brewed for me in Fortnum and Mason last year, and it tastes of rose, which is very nice. Thank you for, oh, my internet's unstable, kids are probably on something. Thank you for writing it. Thank you for being here and supporting me. And you know, some of you here, you know, you've invited me on your pages and in your groups, and you've bought for your friends, and you've just kind of given me a bit of love. And when I've had those vulnerable moments, especially soul space, those of you, I can see some of you here that are in soul space, you know, and you all didn't even know that I was writing a book for half the time. But there was so often with your questions that you gave me, and, you know, things that came up that you just really inspired me to carry on, and a lot of the just encouragement, really, you know, because sometimes I'm sure many of you can resonate. You kind of do things and you just hope that it lands. And that's where I've been, you know, hoping it lands. And it's not like we do it for the accolade, but sometimes when somebody just goes, yeah, that really helped, or thank you, or I hear you, or, you know, it just, I don't know, it just kind of affirms everything for us. Thank you, Beth. Okay, I kind of feel part of the journey. You're definitely a part of the journey, Lynn, because you even mentioned, before you even mentioned the book, we were there with you in the journey. Yeah, the journey is from the beginning for me. It starts when I was growing up and feeling misunderstood, wondering where I fit in the world, and, you know, having my grandma and her ways of being and how that fed into my understanding of the world. And for me, it was super healing just writing it. And that bit that I just read to you, the embrace, I learned a lot of that even from writing the book. So if you want to go on a healing journey, if you want to know yourself better, write a memoir. Like, it's even if you just do it for yourself, yeah, I can recommend that. Okay, so out of everyone here, has anyone still yet to buy the book? You bought it. You're Sylvia's like me. I want to do it. So it's available only on Amazon right now. I will eventually get some copies at home, but again, we're with the algorithms. We have to feed the Amazon machine, and hopefully then I've made it so it's available that it can go to bookstores and stuff as well. So I'll be looking into that. But just right now, by keeping everything in one place, it just helps it, you know, move up and be seen. The categories I've picked, that's what I was going to say. One of the categories I've picked is inspiration, and the number one book on there is The Artist's Way. And I'm like, whoa. But it just kind of felt it needed to be somewhere big. So it's in there. I mean, I need to sell a lot of copies to get there, but who knows. And then I'm also in women, spirituality in women, and spirituality, spiritual biographies, because I think that's kind of where it fits quite nicely. So yeah, it's available. The bonuses are available. It should be working now. We found a glitch yesterday. The bonuses are, you will get the recording of my Lionsgate workshop that I'll be running tonight in Soul Space. So you'll get a recording of that sent to you 24 hours ish from there. There's a meditation called Weaving the Tapestry, which will support you in this book. This channeled through when I was like, what am I going to give them? They were like, get your microphone and just start talking. And they took me on this path through this web. There's a flower in it, you rise, it's very lovely. And Laura Mitchell, a dear friend and sound shaman, put the music underneath it. So that's in there. And the wallpaper, which if you download it on your phone, do send me a screenshot, because it is, I deleted everything off my front cover. And actually the clock there at the bottom is in this orb flash thing. I didn't plan that. It's just how it went. So if you do download that, do send me a screenshot with 1111 or 444, something cool on there, because that would be nice. So that's encoded. We've got the crystal grid that's still running, and you'll also find I've put up some support materials for the book. So when you read the book, I talk about the 12D Platinum Shield. I talk about the metta meditation. So we've got 2 recordings that are available straight away. Laura recorded the metta meditation for me, and it's beautiful. And I re-recorded the Platinum Shield, so it's a brand new one. If you're in Soul Space, it's a new one. If you've done the 5-day challenge with me, it's a new one. Oh yeah, so the 5-day challenge, it's back. It's back. I'm gonna pop it in here. Hold on. We have just opened it up today. I almost forgot. The 5-day challenge, Awaken, is back. It's going to be a bit different, I think, because my energy is very different from the other few times that I've run it. You can sign up now. It's absolutely free. It is 5 days in our company, helping you to hear your intuitive voice, activate your superpowers, and live this life of magic. So if you want to sign up to that, do that. It's great fun. Invite your friends, because it's always brilliant. I can see there's some of you who have done it probably 4 times with me. Sylvia's like, I hope I win another place in Soul Space. It's amazing. yeah, I would love to have you there. And there will also be some prizes as well. Okay, we've done an hour. Who did I say? Ange. I told you it'd be an hour. We've done an hour. So thank you, all of you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for continuing to support. Thank you for buying the book. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for, so preemptive thank you. When you get the book, hold it in your hands, oh, where my one's gone, and take a photo for me and pop it on your wall. Tag me, Mystic in Training. That's going to be another prize draw. I'm going to pop you all in next week, and I'm going to do a special prize for that. So you and the book, if you don't want your face in it, it's fine, but I'd like to see your face. Hashtag Mystic in Training. Tag me, you and the book, and I'll pop you in a prize from that as well. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being amazing. And thank you for being Mystics in Training. I love you all. Bye, everyone.